Oh, hey, didn't see you there. I was just busy playing my favorite game, Pokemon Gold. Man, I love this game, but it's so hard to see on such a dimly lit screen. If only there was a way to watch and play this game on such a big TV and on a home console. Huh. Gotta catch 'em all. You couldn't go more than 15 minutes without hearing those 4 words during the 1990s. Pokemania was taking over the world with the anime, trading cards, and of course the video games. Being called Pocket Monsters in Japan, the games were meant to be portable so you could literally carry your game and your Pokemon in your pocket. But as many games began to transition into the third dimension during the mid to late 1990s, everyone wanted Pokemon to make that jump as well. And of course they did with, not that! The first true Pokemon game with the turn-based battling style on a home console was Pokemon Stadium, released in 1998. This game blew people's minds as we had only ever seen Pokemon in 2D, and Pokemon Red and Blue weren't even in color either. It seems like such a normal idea now, but Pokemon in 3D and in color was just incredible back then. And since at the time of recording this, we are going to be receiving Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, the first main series home console Pokemon game, I thought why not look at the first home console game that really actually matters because we're not considering the other one I talked about. So why don't we take down a trip down memory lane and look at one of the first home console Pokemon games ever, Pokemon Stadium. This game is unlike any of the handheld main series titles. You don't go from city to city battling gyms to become the Pokemon League champion. This is a much more casual game with a few different game modes to choose from. The central mode of Pokemon Stadium that is literally in the center of the menu is, well, the Stadium mode. You can compete in one of 4 different tournaments called the Pika Cup, Petite Cup, Poke Cup, and Prime Cup. Each has its own set of rules, and you are rewarded with a trophy for winning. I honestly never really played this mode much, but if you really enjoy tournaments and different games, this might be for you. Now, the most basic mode in the entire game is the free battle, where you can either battle with 3 or 6 Pokemon on your side. And speaking of the battling in this game, it's kind of weird to describe. The battling mechanics themselves are essentially the same from the main series games. It's turn-based with all the different typing matchups that we just know and love, except for Psychic types, because Psychic types in Gen 1. The one aspect that makes this game different from any other is that every Pokemon is set to level 50. This means you could use either a Pokemon like Charmander or Charizard, but they'll both be at level 50. But Charizard will obviously have higher stats because it's a final stage evolution. So what the game does to counteract this is to give weaker Pokemon stronger moves and stronger Pokemon weaker moves. Like going back to Charmander and Charizard. Charmander will have Flamethrower, while Charizard will only have Fire Spin. This idea makes sense in theory, but it almost forces you to choose a middle stage Pokemon. That way you still have some decent stats and access to some good moves, which is just strange and doesn't feel right. Luckily, there are some lines of Pokemon that don't suffer from these movesets as much. But so many of my favorite Pokemon to use in main games are almost unusable because of just how trash their moves are. Now, technically you can avoid all of these movesets entirely if you just import your team from the actual game. Yes, you can actually connect your copy of Pokemon Red, Blue, or Yellow to the game and play with your team from that game. These bad movesets are only for the rental Pokemon that you can use in pretty much any of the game modes. I honestly didn't know that you could import your teams until a few years ago, and I used the rental Pokemon every time I played this game as a kid. And speaking of when I was a kid, the mode I played by far the most often by myself was the Gym Leader Castle. Like that segue, eh? This is the closest you will get to a classic 8-gym formula from the main games. As you could probably guess, you fight 8 gym leaders of Kanto in this mode. I'm not going to go through the 8 gym leaders because you should know who they are. And if you don't, how young are you? Similarly to the normal games, once you defeat all 8 leaders, you can now challenge the Elite Four and eventually the champion. And yes, just like Red, Blue, and Yellow, the champion is Blue, or as the game says, rival. Yeah, you can't even name your rival in this game. Man, I miss the days of getting to call my rival Assfart. Every gym leader has 3 trainers that you need to defeat before you can even challenge them. This really makes the entire mode a lot more difficult. Sure, many of the trainers have the same type as the gym leader, but there are probably just as many that have just random ass typings. Like there's a bug trainer before Brock for some damn reason. It's actually probably because of Viridian Forest, but whatever. You can only register 6 Pokemon before you challenge a gym, and you can only use those 6 Pokemon for all 4 battles. And you can only use 3 in each battle, so you need to build the best possible team that will give you an advantage over the leader, but also not leave you vulnerable to one of the trainers. I honestly definitely prefer this style to the normal main series games because it's just way more challenging. I rarely ever have problems with gym leaders in the main series games, but I still struggle with battles in Pokemon Stadium to this day. As much fun as Gym Leader Castle is, Pokemon Stadium isn't known for that or its Stadium mode, weirdly. No, the mode that kept people coming back were the mini games. Why battle in a game that is completely based around battling when you can just flop around as a Magikarp? These are just small and simple games that you can play with your friends, and they are way more fun than any mini game from any Mario Mario Party game. There's not that many, in fact there's only 9, but good god are they fun! Repeat arrows back to Clefairy, literally just dig underground, play horseshoe with Ekans and Diglett, compete in a hurdles race, be a fat ass and eat as much as possible, use hypnosis at the right time, tap A or B as fast as possible corresponding to the light's color, just use fucking Harden, and the best of all, press A to jump as Magikarp. Not one of these minigames has crazy controls, and they are so simple to understand, which I think is what makes them just so fun. I also feel that what makes them so fun is that all the Pokemon from each minigame just fit them perfectly. Everyone knows Pokemon Stadium for the minigames, which is definitely not something you can say for pretty much any other Pokemon title. This is the quality content I paid for. Once you complete all the main objectives and modes of the game, you get one final battle against Mewtwo. I mean, who else would have been the final boss? Sadly, this isn't as amazing as it might sound. You get to use 6 Pokemon against him, which just makes it nearly impossible to lose. Sure, his stats are ridiculously high and you probably won't live more than 2 attacks from him, but with 6 Pokemon it's still easy as hell. Especially if you just bring an Electrode and use Explosion. That might be a scummy and bullshit tactic, but you gotta do what you gotta do. To be honest, Pokemon Stadium isn't the best battling game, but I really would definitely recommend it for the minigames. Unless you import your own Pokemon, the movesets are just not good and the battling as a whole is just slow. They tried way too hard with the battling cinematics to try to show off the 3D. This can make one turn take close to a minute, while it might take like 10 seconds in a main game. But what makes up for that is the fact that the announcer is fucking incredible. Oh, it's Hollywood! Pokemon Stadium was still an incredible game and it warranted a sequel called Pokemon Stadium 2. Yeah, you probably could have guessed that title. I wanted to start off this segment with some crazy fact that makes this game so unique and different, but I'll just be honest, this game is basically just Pokemon Stadium 1 with Johto Pokemon added. The Stadium mode is basically the same, but the cups are slightly changed. The Poke Cup and Prime Cup both returned from the first game, but they added the Challenge Cup and the Little Cup. You still only can enter 6 Pokemon and choose 3 before each battle, and they all have their own sets of rules and blah 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 blah. At least the Gym Leader Castle has changed, which, as you probably could guess, contains all of the Johto Gym Leaders. Just as the first game did, each leader has trainers that you need to defeat before you can challenge them that each have different unique type matchups that you probably wouldn't expect. Except for Jasmine for some weird reason. I actually enjoy this Gym Leader Castle much more and I find it much more difficult than the first game. Just like Gold and Silver, Whitney is an absolute nightmare to battle. But the battle that I have always struggled with the most is the Team Rocket battle. The first guy's Pokemon all know either Self-Destruct or Explosion. The second's entire game plan is just to Toxic you and stall you out with Protect and just f*** her. All 4 battles are just meant to annoy you and piss you off, which I guess makes perfect sense for Team Rocket. And I know I just said that this makes perfect sense for Team Rocket, but my god, it pisses me off! I do like how they added a Team Rocket battle in here though to give you some variety over just gym leaders and sort of make it feel similar to the regular games. After you defeat all 8 gym leaders, you once again get to challenge the Elite Four followed by the champion, Lance. The Dragon Master who literally only has 1 Dragon type on his team. Dragon Master my ass. Completing the entire Johto Gym Leader Castle unlocks a rival battle. Once again, I hate that you can't name your rival, but I'll get over it. Now this battle? Oh, this battle. First of all, why the f*** does he have 3 legendaries? And secondly, why are they the 3 strongest legendaries in the game? If someone could explain how he got those, that would be much appreciated. That being said, even with 3 legendaries on his team, he's not very difficult. Just like Mewtwo in the first game, his team looks intimidating, but it's not very crazy. Once you defeat him, you can challenge the Kanto gym leaders once again. They are changed though to represent their teams from Gold and Silver, which makes sense. None of them are still very difficult, but some still have some weird Pokemon that you would just never expect. Like Erica has a damn Vaporeon on her team. You're a grass trainer! Why do you have a damn water type? I actually wish they would do this in the regular game so gym leaders can actually counter their weaknesses like this, but still, it feels weird. And then once you defeat those 8 leaders, you can challenge the Pokemon champion, Red. I love that he's the Kanto champion, and I kinda like that his team's a little different. He has the 3 Johto starters instead of the Kanto ones, along with Jolteon, Scizor, and Tauros. Although, I have to admit, it does not feel right for him not to start off with an overpowered Pikachu. He's no pushover, but the challenge isn't even close to the main games because there isn't that crazy level difference. And similarly to the first game, the Rento Pokemon that you can use in this game still have some whack-ass movesets. Pokemon Stadium 1 had a few bad movesets, but I feel like they gave even more fully evolved Pokemon super weak moves in this game. I don't really need to cover it because it's basically the same as the first game, but I just recommend importing your own Pokemon if you want a good team. Now that all the boring stuff is out of the way, let's get to the main event. More minigames! They have 12 brand new minigames, and as much as I love the first game's minigames, holy shit, these are even better! React faster than the rest of the Eevees. Literally be Santa in Deadly-Bird's Delivery. Race on a treadmill again, but this time you are a walking egg. Have a dirt bike race as Donphan. Tap A or B with a direction to power a power plant. Be a damn adorable ferret and hit Pokeballs into your goal. Just ram the out of other Hitmontop. Time your slices perfectly, which just feels so satisfying. 4-person Pong as Mr. Mime. Move left and right to catch eggs while not getting electrocuted. And strangely, the best of all, count the Pokemon. I have no idea why this is my favorite minigame, but I just love it. Something about counting it perfectly and beating your friends is just awesome. And it's hilarious when the computers just randomly keep counting even after all the Pokemon are gone. Like, what the f*** are you doing? They even give each Pokemon a name before the minigame begins, which is just such an unnecessary touch, but it's just so amazing at the same time. Just look at my boy Getchapop. Now, if you've played this game or you were just paying attention and counted, you know that I left out one minigame, and that's because I hate Gutsy Golbat. All you do is collect hearts while trying to knock other Golbat into Magnemite to make them lose their hearts. It might sound fun, and maybe it's just me, but I always get flung into Magnemite and almost never win. I always avoid this minigame when I'm playing, but if you like it, hey, more power to you. Every single one of these is just as simple, maybe even simpler than the first game, which just makes them perfect. They pick the perfect Pokemon for each, and some of these games are just so damn cute! I legitimately feel bad if I make Togepi trip on the treadmill just because they're so adorable. It's even harder if you lose the Pichu minigame because all the losers get electrocuted. I'm so sorry! I don't know if there's a single other video game out there with minigames that are so enjoyable and so addicting at the same time as Pokemon Stadium 2. If you can make counting fun, you know you did a good job. This may be biased coming out, but I think that Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 are the best home console Pokemon games ever. There's no real story like Coliseum or XD, but they don't need it. You have several different modes, which already gives this game more variety than pretty much any other Pokemon game. You can compete in tournaments if you want, battle all the gym leaders from 2 different regions, or even something as simple as just battle one of your friends. Sure, the graphics aren't close to what we are seeing now 20 years later, but I think the polygonal style still holds up to this day. This game brought Pokemon fans together on the big screen and gave me and my brother hundreds of hours of entertainment over the years. Even now in 2018, I still pick this game up from time to time because it's just so fun. And I'll say it one more time, the minigames are greater than any other aspect of any other Pokemon game. Don't at me. Pokemon will always be seen as a handheld franchise. I mean, it's in the damn name. But I am so glad that they are making the return to a home console with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, and eventually Gen 8 next year on the Nintendo Switch. Let's just hope they eventually make a third Pokemon Stadium game because these first 2 are just so amazing, and I think we all have been waiting for a third one for just years. Oh shit, that's right.